Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not gonna hold you, as you probably seen in the title. I'm not gonna lie, after playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, finishing the game just yesterday night, I'm not gonna hold you. There is damn near nothing negative I could say about this game. There is nothing, 100%, right? And there's so much to go over when it comes down to it, but I'll try to be quick in certain areas where I can, because possibly the characters and story is possibly the part of it where, the whole thing, shines brightly. So, first of all, let's just get this out the way. This is by far Square Enix's best game yet. Like, I know a lot of people use the term peak a lot, but this is actually genuinely peak, right? This is the pinnacle of what Square has to offer. And I know people don't like Square a little bit with their decisions and stuff, but when they can cook up some good games with the IPs they have, buddy, they can cook up with some good games with the IPs that they have, though. Because it takes a lot for me to move certain games on the listing that I have for my top 5 favorite games of all time, especially, where it's near the 1 and 2 position. Because Kingdom Hearts 2 is my favorite game of all time. That's not changing at all. And it was Final Fantasy 15 that was pretty good in that position, honestly. But now, after playing that, I have to move 7 Rebirth to the number 2 spot, kicking out 15, which is a bit crazy to me, honestly. So, by far, without a doubt, there is just so much stuff in this game. So much love and care and attention with the characters, the environment, the combat system, just everything in general, where it just feels like a step up, where Remake absolutely feels like garbage to go back and play now. Like, it feels like once you play Rebirth, you can't go back to Remake. You just can't. Because there's so much things that changed from what happened in the old game to how things are going now and all that sort of stuff. So, by far already, it has a high impression off me. When it just off things in general, right? And to be honest, also, I didn't really see any type of weird localization, translation nonsense. I didn't see anything weird when it comes to that too much. Really, I haven't seen anything of that at all. And if there is some localization, translation stuff, it's either A, out of content I haven't done, or it is possibly, very little. Because again, I didn't notice much of anything out of place when it comes down to it. It was just a good experience here, and here. So let's start off with the environment. The environment was clean. I know on PC it's probably going to be a lot better, but when it comes down to it though, the environment was extremely clean. And by far, of all the things that really took me by surprise, I think the places that really took me by surprise was the above level of Junon, and then also Cosmo Canyon. Mostly Cosmo Canyon, because if you look at the OG game, you see Cosmo Canyon look barren as all hell. It looks barren as I don't know what. But then when you look at it in Rebirth, it's a tourist place. It's a place where people are excited to learn about the planet and planetology and all that type of stuff about how things kind of works in that world. And it's just amazing, right? It just tells you that, yeah, Cosmo Canyon isn't this barren, boring ass place. It's like a place where, you actually visit and be with the, the Native American type of aesthetic of people there, right? That's what it feels like. And it was just a good time, honestly. Even some place like Mithril Mines was a good ass place. Because I don't even mine dungeon ass levels like that, but this game made me like dungeon levels. That's weird. That is weird, especially when you're stuck into a position where you're only playing Barret and Red 13. I didn't really care too much for Barret's gameplay in Remake, but here it definitely makes up for it, because Barret can just have fun, do things, and then Red 13 helps out things to spread it out a bit more to have even more fun. And it was honestly addicting. So bad. Honestly, when you're just playing the story, just rocking through the gameplay is so damn addicting that I didn't want to necessarily put the game down. I barely wanted to make content during the times that the game was out, honestly. And I just wanted to play the story just to see what the heck happened and do side content. Because unlike a lot of games when it comes to side content, the side content in this game means something, damn it. Like, a lot of the times, you play stuff, do this, go here, do this, do that. it's very simple, done and dusted, or it's something that you don't really care for. And this one just said, yeah, we're gonna make you care for stuff in this one. And there's some side content that explains further, deeper story stuff regarding certain characters and other stuff regarding some aspects of the world. And it just really expands upon what 7 is in the best way, right? It's just really good. Like, for example, with the Proto Relics, which is like your main side quest stuff to do. When it comes down to it, you can find all the Proto Relics and you'll learn certain story stuff. Like Cosmic Cane, for example, if you wanted to know what happened to Wedge in the Shinra building, then you'll have to finish that story, which, unfortunately, my boy Wedge got by the damn ghost, because he fell out the building and he died, unfortunately. So, that just is what it is when it comes down to it. But when it comes to literally just side story stuff, there's just a plethora of things that you can do. There's things that you can just find, you know. And even when I did have some struggle with certain stuff, to be honest with you, I feel like that's more on me than it is on the game, and I don't really hate it. So, to be perfectly honest, it was just, again, it's a fun time overall. Out of the 47 hours of it, I would definitely say that it's definitely worth the money to, you know, put into it, and it's definitely gonna be worth it when you know, have on PC, especially, right? When that time comes for it to go on PC, it's gonna be extremely worth it at that point. Let's talk about the combat real quick, because the combat is obviously like the big thing of the game. What does the game feel like, especially if you're someone that haven't played the demo or wanted to know about certain characters like Kate Sif and, you know, Yuffie and, you know, like Red 13? What really does the combat feel like? It feels great, right? It feels good. Definitely puts you in positions where you have to play those characters. Not everybody, but you are in position to play a lot of the other characters. And, you know, it doesn't feel like it's something that they wouldn't do, or it doesn't feel off. It doesn't feel floaty in any way. And, you know, it just feels like it just flows together really good. Like, Remake already had pretty decent combat. They just expanded upon that. That's really what you're getting, honestly. It's like going to Chick-fil-A, asking for some cheese sticks. I don't know if Chick-fil-A sells cheese sticks, but then they give you even more cheese sticks on top of that. Like, that's what it sounds like when it comes down to it. You're just getting the good extra stuff added to the combat, and then it flows nicely with aerial combat, and then you get to just do a lot of other good synergy moves as well, and it's just a fun time. Things that don't even require ATB points, and then, you know, magic and stuff like that, you can just have that on the side as well. Obviously, the character that I had the most fun with playing is Yuffie, because by far, herself was just floating all over the dang place, throwing on all types of long range attacks, short range attacks, and just really good, honestly. I can see why Yuffie had a dang DLC to herself, because she was insanely fun to play in this game. Because I didn't play Integrate. I was going to, but I didn't play it. And just seeing what she cooked up in this, it was really dang good. It was really dang good, impressive, and it was just the funnest I had playing with a character ever, honestly. Cloud was good, obviously, but it was really fun playing the shit out of, like, Yuffie when it comes to the main game as a whole. So, really, she was just fun. She was just fun and just really great to play, you know? So, that's basically the combat, that's the environment. Let's try to move on to what else is there? There's so much stuff that, honestly, I'm gonna be missing things, and I'm already missing things because I didn't finish the entirety of the, you know, side stuff. But definitely, there's a lot of things that's just in here that's worth your time just exploring, honestly. So, mini games, there was a lot of them. There was definitely a lot of them. My favorite ones would probably have to be the space shooting gummy ship looking thing, and then there's also like the what is it called? I think it was like the motorcycle one. I don't know what it's called. Moto something maybe. But when it comes down to it, that was pretty good. The Pirates Rampage, where you gotta shoot like certain obstacles, that was pretty fun as well. Like, there's a lot of mini games in this game. There's a lot of them that was pretty damn good, honestly. You know, even Queen's Blood, as much as I didn't understand the game, it was still something that I feel like if you really are just a TCG person, you're gonna like that shit like a lot. So definitely that's something that's also to look forward to when it comes down to it, especially when you get to Costa del Sol, because Costa del Sol, that's like minigame city, and really Costa del Sol as a whole was also a pretty environment as well, which leads me to talk about A few references I couldn't help but to notice a little bit, right? Whether intentional or non-intentional. For an example, when you go to Costa del Sol after fighting Hojo and, having Yuffie to come through, you get this sunset scene of Costa del Sol. And if you pick Cloud's, shorts attire with that whole scene, tell me why when you go out to the beach, it feels like Destiny Islands from Kingdom Hearts 1. Why does it feel like that? Because when it comes down to it, I went out there, swam into the ocean, looked back, and I couldn't help but to feel all kind of Destiny Island vibes when I was looking at it. I'm like, this feels just like PS2 first Kingdom Hearts gameplay, honestly, when you first just get into it. This is what it looks like, this is what it feels like. Like, it feels a bit strange. So that was like, I don't know if that was an actual reference to KH a little bit, but it felt like it was. And then, there's an more obvious reference to Kingdom Hearts, where Elena was basically in the chopper with Rude, and essentially had this blue popsicle. Now, you could say that this is not a Kingdom Hearts reference, but they could have chose any color of popsicle. They could have chose a green popsicle, a yellow one. They could have made a chocobo popsicle if they wanted to. But why did they choose a blue popsicle just entirely? That referenced some sea salt ice cream, my boy. You ain't fooling me. So apparently, Final Fantasy VII and Kingdom Hearts in some shape or form share the same damn icicle treats, honestly. So when it comes down to it, it's nice to see a little nod to Kingdom Hearts, honestly. Even if we don't get anything too much this year, which hopefully we will, because it is March. But when it comes down to it, though, that's like a little nice nod to KH a little bit, honestly. So that was nice to see. And outside of the references and everything else, let's get into what actually is going down with the characters and the story, honestly. So, can it be possible that this game has excellent pacing with no issues with the characters whatsoever, and they don't feel out of place or said anything crazy and out of place? This game did it perfectly. This game did it absolutely perfectly. Whether it was Cloud going crazy, whether it was Aerith and her whole deal, whether it was, Tifa kind of just being the encourager, whether it was literally Barry just having fun. It was just all types of good stuff, right? It was all types of good stuff. From Grasslands to the Forgotten Capital. Let's just keep it a stack, right? So when you obviously play this game, you're going to run into a lot of familiar faces. You're going to run into also faces that you've never seen before. Like the biker dude, Roche, was pretty damn good. Honestly, I think his boss fight was excellent. With the jazzy music in the background, I think that's my favorite in terms of music of bosses. That's my favorite one, personally, for me. And obviously, outside Sephiroth, obviously. But when it comes down to it, though, it was just really good. It was just jazzy. It was just all kinds of crazy. Just fantastic. And it was just great, right? So, how do I want to go about this? Let's try to just go from the story, and then we'll try to talk about the characters in between. So, obviously, the whole story is essentially, you escaping Midgar, getting out there to explore this world, this vast world, and essentially, you gotta find these road guys, follow them to Sephiroth, and see what ends up happening at the end of your journey, which leads you to Forgotten Capital, which leads you to the ultimate seeing of if Aerith is gonna die and live this time, right? So that's the whole kind of thing. Cloud, this entire game, was on some weirdness. This man really was on some weirdness. You got to see the cellular degradation that happens in a lot of these soldier people that work for Shinra. Ex-soldiers, doesn't matter. You get hit with it because he was infused with the Mako nonsense. And when it comes down to it, you get to run into this first person in comm called Broden. And essentially, he's just like, yeah, you might get hit with this, It could be bad, it could be light, you never know. And unfortunately for Broden, and I think a side quest, you end up seeing that he did end up becoming one of those road people, which is unfortunate because Broden didn't need to have that. But you saw earlier signs in the story where this man was hearing this call to go to a certain place like all the other road people, and he was trying to ignore it to the best of his ability, and that same call ends up what's affecting Cloud in the entirety of the game, right? Sephiroth is just hooked on this boy. Just hooked on him to the max. And to top that off with, Cloud's messed up memories and all this sort of stuff. It just ends up being like this whole just crash of different ideas that just happening, honestly. So like, it got so bad that this man was basically like questioning if Tifa was actually like alive, and honestly was questioning like if she is dead because Sephiroth cut her up like one time, and then Tifa had to keep reminding this man by flashing, literally flashing some booba at this man and just being like, no, I'm still alive. Do you not see the damn scar between the chesticles? Like, what's happening here? And so Cloud was like, oh yeah, that reminds me. He just probably wanted to see some things. That's probably what he wanted to see, at least the first damn time. Second time he went on the damn deep end, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Essentially, yeah, Cloud just having his mind all kinds of jacked up the entire time, and really it doesn't start to go crazy until you get to like, you know, Gungaga, to really see how bad things have gotten. And Gungaga also looked great too, right? It was also like a really great place. And then, you know, when he got to Gungaga, that's when, you know, Sephiroth influence was like out at an all-time high, because all the plot ghosts coming through again, all the whispers are coming through trying to jack him up. And essentially there was one moment in the entire fight, or at least section, where he basically was about to turn on Tifa, because this man just turned into Sephiroth a little bit. He didn't turn to him physically, like actually, but he started had the mentality like he was Sephiroth, changing his way of how he used his sword like he used to, like Sephiroth did, and just went ham. He killed the crap out of a lot of these soldiers, murdered them brutally. Never do Cloud do that type of thing before, but you know, he did that shit kind of just effortlessly, dodging bullets by swaying his head left to right like him, and that's just crazy. Didn't went as far as to still be questioning if Tifa was on some nonsense about her being dead. And again, Tifa showing the damn boobas again, but unfortunately the boobas was not strong enough to stop the Sephiroth influence, which leads him to cutting the crap out of Tifa and knocking her into the pool of Maka, which let her get swallowed up by the doggone weapon. And, you know, Tifa went through some things. She almost got killed by Sephiroth in the doggone water and shit. It was just a lot of stuff that was good. It was like, what is happening? I have no idea. Then again, you had Cloud once more, effing up, having the, you know, the black materia nonsense, giving it to Sephiroth. Dude was in a trance. He was about to hurt Aerith. He was about to just body anybody that was in his way to get that doggone materia. That's just how Cloud was at that point. He was that far gone until the very last second, where Aerith was about to fall off the stupid tentacle, or at least tendril of darkness, or whatever the hell Sephiroth created. And essentially that's when he finally kind of snapped out of it a little bit, and with the help of Aerith he kind of did that, you know. So finally there was a way out of it. So, you know, Cloud was still going through it. Cloud was going through it, honestly, and everybody was really going through it, but Cloud was going through it a lot more than everybody else. Now this man was getting swayed left and right when it comes down to it, though. What this game, I feel like, really did with these characters, just really just showed you how much detail can be put into these characters, and how much they can just be brought out into the, you know, limelight, and to show you how well these characters can just be at certain moments in time. Like when, you know, the whole thing with Tifa, her dad died, and how she kind of felt about it. Like getting a first-hand look at Aerith's past before her mom died, and really just getting to see also just throughout the game a lot of stuff of Aerith as well. And like how, you know, the materia of Holy was not in the damn ball of materia in the regular timeline, because it went to a different time. It's the Zack's timeline, honestly. And it was just a whole bunch of other stuff that went to it as well. Running into Zack's family in Gongaga. And Cloud was also there too. He almost said something crazy that he was about to regret, honestly. Because that man was like, that Zack guy, what a loser. I hate to break it to you, but if this man hasn't called or said anything at all at this point in time, man's probably dead. He didn't finish saying the sins because the memory thing kept messing with him, but it almost let him say the dang sins, and he almost said something I'm sure he was about to regret. But when it comes down to it though, yeah, a lot of stuff just ended up happening. We also got to see, you know, Barrett and his past a little bit, with his wife We actually got to see Barrett's wife with his 2 hands before he got shot up by Scarlet from Shinra. And then you also got to see Dine's whole, battle with his best friend. And honestly, it was done way better here than it did in OG, because I think in OG he just fell off a cliff and died. And here you had to fight this man with some weird funky metal powers or some shit. And that was awesome. And Dine lost his mind and stuff, and he didn't know what the hell was going on. And he didn't really care about anything too much except death, honestly, try to go back to his wife in some shape or form. Red 13, honestly, I feel like I didn't really care too much about until we got to see his actual, voice and how he sounded, because he was like, yes, I am Red 13, I am gritty, I have been through a lot of nonsense from Hojo, which he has, because this boy was getting drilled in the head with, needles and shit, and Hojo, this game really just shows you how bad Hojo really is, how terrible this man is. And then when it comes down to it though, but Red 13 was like, yes, I've been tortured by Hojo. I will not be on some nonsense. And in time he gets to Cosmo King, his voice all types of change up, being lighthearted like some Kingdom Hearts logic or something like that. But it's like, oh hi guys, I'm back. I'm like, wait, what's this voice change? What is this nonsense? So yeah, Red 13, he was definitely on some weird nonsense, but it was fun though. Then you also had, who else? Yuffie was fun. Yuffie was definitely fun. I know some people might be like, Yuffie was annoying. No, sir. She was way more annoying in OG because she stole your actual materia and then you had to try to get it back. And that jump was not fun at all. So, and she did it, I think, twice. So, when it comes down to it, though, Yuffie is not really fun in OG. Here, she's fun as I don't know what. Though, to be honest, I'm kind of confused because a lot of times she be car sick and boat sick and air sick, and it's like, how the hell are you all these type of sicks, yet you know how to move your body around in a fight, and you know how to ride a chocobo, and you ain't tripping out about that. And I find it kind of weird. So yeah, you feel on some nonsense a lot of the game, but it's fun nonsense. And when it comes down to it, she just has some of the best lines in the game to me personally, outside of Barrett maybe. And when it comes down to it as well, she's just a joy. She's just a joy to have around, honestly. Yuffie's just fun. She's just fun to have around. Again, I know a lot of people may not care for Yuffie like that, but Yuffie's just fun to have around, honestly. She just is. And then for me and my playthrough, because I wanted Yuffie the most, I ended up taking her to Golden Saucer to go on that dang date, and by far was fun. It was good. I honestly enjoyed it. It was by far one of the more fun things, and I didn't know why they was hyping up Golden Saucer so much, but they hyped it up a lot, and it was excellent. I effing loved that junk, right? Although I will say one thing, Square, I do feel slightly robbed. I mean, you gave Tifa and Cloud a whole kiss, like a straight full lip contact, right? You gave that shit right to them. But Yuffie, we can't have that? Why? Why would you let me have that, right? Don't get me wrong, there was still some type of contact in some shape and form, but you could have let me have that, Square. Why are you on some nonsense? I will never understand Square when it comes to certain characters like this. Why? It's just characters like this in general. These are the characters I care about a lot. Why do I not get these type of characters in some shape or form in the way I want them to? It kind of makes me mad, low key. But aside all that nonsense, Yuffie was fun. Then there was my boy, the legend, the betrayer, but also the redeemer. You had the boy Cat Sif, which was, freaking great, honestly. I know his name is Kate Sif, but it's gonna make me pronounce his name differently every time, so just bear with me. But Kate Sif, which is great, possibly my favorite character. I'm not gonna hold you. Something about having him around was just fun, and it makes me question, why the hell was he not in Kingdom Hearts yet? I feel like he would be a perfect character to put into Kingdom Hearts in some shape or form. It don't have to be Reeve, controlling him from a distance. It doesn't have to be that. It could just literally be, him growing a heart in Kingdom Hearts or something like that, and then he just start, acting out on his own. That could literally be, Cat Sif in Kingdom Hearts. Why he's not a summon or not a friend, I don't know. But I just enjoyed his character. Man was all that Australian accent all the time, and it was just great. I loved it. The man was like, oh, so you trying to go and find Sephiroth, you said? I'm like, yes, please. I need more of this. He's fun. Gameplay, kind of don't really care for his gameplay too much. I mean, it's fine for what it is, but I don't really care too much for his gameplay. That being said, his character, I love it. Every part of it. There's nothing about Cat Thief that I honestly hate. There's nothing. His character was fun, enjoyable, and honestly just really was a good time. To remind you that this game, while serious, can also be fun as well. So that's why I thoroughly enjoy Cat Thief, honestly. Like, there's so many characters, honestly. I ain't gonna be able to get to everything that I really want to talk about, but I'm just gonna say one more character, which is Zack. Because Zack is like the most important character, right? Or at least one of the most important characters. And I wasn't too far off of my theories thinking how things were going to play out with the multiple eras, the maybe multiple clouds, the multiple, Sephiroths maybe. I wasn't too far off, but it wasn't right. But when it comes down to it, because the first thing you do in the game is before you play Sephiroth section, before you play the fake cloud section back in the Niflheim flashback, to be very honest with you, you'll play Zack first. And then you figure out the whole day with Zack. And then that's when he tried to go save Aerith when Shinra got their hands on their dead bodies and whatever. And then that's when Zack ends up, seeing that Holy comes out of her head instead of the actual Aerith that we have in the regular timeline. And then you go down this whole rabbit hole of just Zack doing different things, trying to take care of Aerith and Cloud in that timeline, until Marlene basically tells you that, yeah, she knows that somebody is going to try to kill Aerith. And she knows the OG way. Silver hair, gray haired guy, long hair, coming through, swiping down at her, and that's game over. And even Zack was like, oh my, this dude again? And basically, yeah, that's kind of how it was. And obviously, Biggs was there too. And I know somebody could be getting mad that Biggs died at the end, or he didn't matter at the end of all this. But the way they went about it kind of makes me feel like it's alright, because it kind of is what it is at the end of the day. Because what Biggs ended up doing was trying to rebuild Avalanche in a way. And he ended up getting some encouragement from Zack, which leads him to making a bomb. And so when he made the bomb, he put it into Sector 6, and he was about to, or whatever, and was about to just blow the entire sector up for some reason. I don't necessarily remember the reason, but he was doing it for some reason. And the thing is, when Zack got wind of this, he had a few choices to make. He could go get a cure from Hojo's lab at that point to go save Cloud and maybe get away to save Aerith. And then also he has a choice to go stop, Biggs from blowing up the sector. And this is where the game gets absolutely crazy at the very end of the game. Because he makes a choice to go get the cure first, which blows up Sector 6. Except you don't see the actual explosion of it, you just see this light wave come through. And then you start seeing that, oh crap, this is a different timeline sort of thing kind of happening. Because he ended up going to Hojo Lab and all that type of stuff, but then it changes to a different timeline where what if he did stop Biggs from doing it? And you got to see a different stand, which is a bulldog at this time, or a pug or something. And he ends up showing that he couldn't make a bomb for shit. And he ends up getting shot by Shinra people. And there was going to be another stand where Zack had to literally take another stand against the Shinra force again, but he said screw that because I'm not about to do this shit again. And then he chose to do a different timeline. Then there was another timeline where he had to choose this, where he had a choice to protect Aerith. So he was at the church, and when he was at the church, Sephiroth pulled up and he was like, nah, this ain't you, cuz. And so he sliced open another time rift to send him somewhere else. So he had these choices, and at the end of the day, it felt like it didn't matter on any of these. Biggs was going to die, Cloud was never going to get the help he needed, Aerith was going to die regardless. So it's like, what is true here, right? And at the end of the game, you also get this dialogue with Cloud and Sephiroth about the different timelines and what Sephiroth actually wants. Using the black materia to not only destroy the world, but he's going to be the ruler and destroy basically every timeline of all different worlds. That's what Sephiroth really wants at the end of it. So it's not just destroy the world, no, it's all of them now. So when it comes down to it, yeah, Sephiroth has gotten more crazier and has more ideals of grandeur as time has gone on. But basically, this man was explaining how the timelines are and how every possibility is a thing, and where there could be a possibility where maybe Wedge didn't die, maybe Biggs didn't die, maybe Jesse didn't die, maybe they're all alive and everybody else is dead. or some other timeline stuff that could end up potentially happening. Basically, whatever you imagine, there is a timeline for it. And that's essentially what Sephiroth was laying down. And so when it comes down to it though, of all things that end up happening, and it's still not completely told if there is any more timeline nonsense that's going to happen in that third game, even though it feels like it's wrapped up now, but still, we just don't know, and it just feels a bit weird. But point is, we get to Forgotten Capital, and after all the trials and tribulations of the Temple of the Ancients, because Temple of the Ancients was a long ass section, and all that stuff, and Cloud going ballistic because he didn't necessarily give a shit about anything until, Aerith again was about to sacrifice himself off of, or at least about to fall off the damn, black tendril thing that Sephiroth created. Basically, you end up having this dream sequence with Aerith and Cloud where they go on this date and they act like lovers and whatever. And then you got to see another stamp timeline dog, this fluffier ass dog and shit. And it's just like, what is this now? It's a lot of other shit that doesn't make sense. And so now you're looking at this and it's like Aerith created this little pocket dimension timeline rift thing where Sephiroth's like, I know you hide up the bitch. Don't play. Don't leave this man hanging and all that type of stuff, right? And so she's trying to keep it together for as long as she could to spend time with Cloud because she likes Cloud like that more than she likes Zack. And hell, even Marlene even mentioned that, she likes Cloud more than Zack, and Zack was like, oh, I see how it is. So yeah, it was a lot of stuff that went on. But point is, with that whole timeline with Cloud and Aerith having, the date, what ends up happening is essentially that, she actually has the ball of holy, the materia of holy, gives it to Cloud, pushes him into that bed of flowers in the church, and then as you see Cloud falling back to the regular timeline, you end up seeing Sephiroth coming through the door, which comes, coming through, about to kill Aerith again. So you could tell in that timeline where Zack was from, or whatever that timeline was, that Aerith is dead. That Aerith is for sure dead now, right? And so, that other timeline Aerith is just gone. And so when it goes down to it, you get to the Temple of the, not Temple of the Ancients, but Forgotten Capital, the city of the Ancients, really. And essentially, these whispers stopping everybody, and then they open up this damn ghost portal to get Cloud through with Vincent and Sid, and everybody try to help him try to get in and all that type of stuff. And then you get to the big scene. What ends up happening to her? Did she live? Did she die? How about I give you both? Right? That's what the game basically said. You want the good ending or you want the bad ending? The good ending? Aerith lived. The bad ending? Aerith died. Because timeline nonsense. So what ends up happening is that, yes, there was a moment where Cloud did actually stop the blade from killing Aerith, which surprised the holy heck out of me. But then there was also the timeline where Aerith died like she did in the original. And you're wondering what in the absolute hell is happening at this point. And then you fight Jenova one more time. And then you fight this crazy ass form of Sephiroth Reborn or something like that. And then he has the power of remake for some reason, which there you go. That's the reason why the word remake is there. And then you also got to see like everybody else fighting it. And then Zack got a piece of this, fight as well. And also fought, Sephiroth a little bit too. And the craziest and coolest part about it was that when Zack was just floating around in space of time, he saw this, image of Cloud, thought it was fake as all hell until he touched him, and then they met up in both timelines at the same time. And it was like, Cloud? Zack? What's happening? They're like, oh, we're gonna have to explain this later. But, that was the fun part. It was fun. That was the epic part. Both Buster Sword boys about to slash the absolute crap out of this one-winged angel. And it was amazing. It was the greatest thing I've ever seen. Right? It was fun. I didn't get to play Zack, and he had whole new gameplay. And it was amazing. Until Sephiroth decided to be an asshole and cut the timeline again, so Zack is off somewhere else again. And he basically was just telling Cloud to go save Aerith before it was too late, even though it was already too late. But when it comes down to it though, Zack was also fighting Sephiroth again in the reborn form, and his timeline with this, meteor coming and all that type of stuff. And then Cloud was still fighting him, and his whole crew was fighting him in different places in time and different spaces and all that type of stuff. And then when you fight Sephiroth for the final time, you end up seeing Aerith come back, and she ends up helping fighting Sephiroth with Cloud. And so you basically have this nice final clash with everything coming through, and then once the entirety of the fight is over, it's kind of showing you in this reveal that Aerith indeed did die. They did keep it like the original, and essentially the only difference is that you can now see Aerith in the live stream, and Cloud is the only one that sees her and the only one that can interact with her. Everybody else is mourning her death while in, being sad and everything, but Cloud is the only one that's kind of happy because Aerith is still there with him. He's the only one that can see it. Hell, he's the only one that can even see the world ending with the crack in the sky. Everybody else can't see it. He's the only one that can see that shit, which that could be a whole another point of, nonsense that could happen in the third game. And so you also had a moment where, you're thinking, oh, he got rid of the black materia. But no, he still has the black materia. He didn't even know why he had it. And then he placed it into his Buster Sword, which, kind of just transmogrified into it or some shit. I don't know. And so basically, yeah, he's holding onto the black materia. And, obviously Sephiroth was going to try to manipulate him, try to get that shit. But, now it feels a bit different now. It feels a lot different because Aerith is trying to try to stop the dang meteor, and it feels like she's going to do it this time around, and she meant something about it this time around versus the OG. And now Cloud is going to try to stop Sephiroth any way he can as well. And then that's when they kind of parted off with that whole thing, and that just kind of is what it is. And then you're probably wondering, what the hell happened to Zack? Well, Zack is somewhere. He's somewhere, and he's alive, but he's somewhere. He was the last thing you see was basically him in the church, just chilling, wondering what happened. And, we don't necessarily know. Could this be the end of the timeline stuff? Could he still come back in part 3? We don't necessarily know. It most likely not is the end of the timeline stuff, but it felt like it was such a good wrap up at the end that it kind of felt like it was the end of the timeline stuff. But who knows? Square could also pull out something else random in their pocket, honestly. Honestly, explaining this game is not enough. I would dead ass encourage you just to go out and play it when you can, or get it on sale, or whatever. Because this game is definitely worth, a lot of the time that was built to make this shit. Because it was good. It was really good. Hell, I didn't even mention the part where Aerith started singing in the gold saucer. And I didn't even mention the part where, at the very end of it, Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge came through, and I teared up a little bit because I was kind of sad at the sight seeing them. You don't make me cry in a video game like that, and then expect to not get a high score of just the game overall. Overall, when it comes down to just everything, this game had no issues whatsoever to me. There was nothing I could really complain about because it was just that damn good. Why do you think this video is like damn near 40 minutes right now? Because it's just that damn good. There's nothing really bad I can say about it. There's nothing really bad I can say. So when it comes down to it, it's just a fun experience. It was an addictive experience, honestly. And it just made you want to seek the world more, see what else it had to offer, because I didn't do everything in this game. And when it comes down to it, it's just a good experience that I feel like everyone should at least try once. Even if it's just a demo, just try that shit and then see how you feel, right? So when it comes down to it, it was just good. It was by far the most fire experience of a Square game, and I need them to keep that energy for Kingdom Hearts 4. Whenever they work on that and decide to, put whatever they can in that's what I want to see for Kingdom Hearts 4. This is the type of effort that needs to go forward in these bigger titles that we know and love of these games in Square's catalog. Honestly, with everything that kind of happened and everything that was just that great, there is no way, and really for the first time in a very long time for me, this game gets a 10 out of 10. There is no way I can sit here and just say that this game is not perfect, honestly. There might be some parts of it where if you really looked hard and nitpicked, you could probably knock it down some points. But definitely, there's nothing I can negatively say. This game was good start to finish, and it kept getting better and better, and somehow even better. The whole parade of Junon was great. Yuffie, everything about her was great and was best girl. Definitely there was great things with Cat Sif also. There was just great things just to mention as a whole, that just saying anything negative was just impossible. So yeah, this was just good. This was just a good experience, and there's nothing bad I can really say about it. So when it comes down to it, yeah, again, if you haven't had the chance, or if you're waiting on it to go sale, definitely go get it, because it's just something that I feel like you need to experience, especially if you're someone that does like RPGs, or you're someone that does like JRPGs and, you know, Square games or Final Fantasy in general. Definitely do give it a try, because if this is the quality that Square can provide, I need this energy for KH 100%. That's all I gotta say when it comes down to it, right? So yeah, it felt like it was just really like, I feel like this game was really trying to be good for everybody. This is the one time I feel like this game, like, where a game or anything in general, where it's trying to, like, you know, include everybody into the circle of things, and it actually worked. This is the one and rare time where that will work, honestly. So this game was just great overall. That's just how it is. You know, if you wanted me to say something negative, there's really nothing negative I can say. What I can point out, nitpick like a few pop-ins, but that was like the slightest thing. You know, maybe again you might get mad over the big thing, and you know, maybe you might get mad over Tifa's character. Maybe if you really want to focus on it. But there's not really anything negative, again, I could truly say. This game was a damn masterpiece, and that's not even a stretch of the word. But that's essentially what I have for you for this one. My voice is gone. This was a lot of talking, a lot of spoiler talk. But again, just talking about it doesn't really do it justice. Please go play this game if you haven't gone played it, because by far, it was just something that I didn't necessarily think was possible to top into my own top 5 games of all time, honestly. So that's just how it is for me. But when it comes down to it though, that's essentially all I got. So hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification way out. Also follow me on the socials, and if you'd on this channel, Kofi and Cash App is available as well. And until then, it's Jay, signing off. Have a blessed day.